Hello, church family. It's Wednesday, and it's time for another Wednesday Minister Moment. Tolerance. That word is used a lot today, isn't it? It's a word that kind of means some different things to different people, and I understand why so many cry out for tolerance, and yet in our culture that cries out for tolerance, there sure is a lot of intolerance, even from those who are crying out that we are tolerant of others. In the 19th century, Robert Greene Ingersoll, an author, wrote this about tolerance. He said, "Tolerance is giving to every other human being every right that you could claim for yourself." Now, that description of tolerance sounds like a very positive thing. And yet, not everybody sees tolerance in exactly the same way. A 20th century author and playwright, William Somerset Maugham, wrote this about tolerance. He said, "Tolerance is another word for indifference." Now, both of those descriptions are drastically different from one another. The dictionary defines tolerance in this way. It says it's a capacity to endure pain or hardship. To endure pain or hardship, to put up with the pain and the hardship that I'm experiencing? Is that what tolerance is? Another part of the definition is sympathy or indulgence for beliefs or practices different from or conflicting with one's own. So it has that idea of being sympathetic, but if you indulge someone else in their beliefs, then you are kind of putting up with them, and that's part of the rest of the definition, the act of allowing something. So if I allow you to speak what you want to speak, if I allow you to have the ideas or to act the way you want to act, then that indicates I'm the one with the power and that you are a little below me. It seems a bit condescending. Have you ever tolerated somebody for a period of time, but you didn't really want to? That's kind of what tolerance is. There's a book that I shared with you last week. It's called Choose Your Own Adulthood. It's written by Hal Runkel, and this is a short book that he wrote for his daughter before she went off to college. He wanted to give her some wisdom as she left, and I would like to read to you from a chapter he calls Appreciate More, Tolerate Less. And I would just want to read to you some of the things that he said in here about tolerance. He says, "See, today tolerance has a few more meanings, some of which carry a patronizing, if not contemptuous, connotation. If I say, for instance, I will tolerate a certain person coming to my party, that doesn't exactly preach peace and harmony. It screams condescension instead. I'm up here and above that person, but in my nobility, I will graciously tolerate your presence." What he says is, I don't think that's really what we want. He goes on to say this, "What I think you want is what we all want, appreciation. We don't just want people to endure or suffer through the thought of our presence." That's another connotation for the word tolerance. Instead, we want people to take the courageous effort to appreciate us as equal to others, with a right to and a reason behind our particular views and expressions. He goes on to say that what we need to do is practice the golden rule. And the golden rule is what was said by Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, what would you really want? Do you want people to just tolerate you, to just put up with you, and then be glad that you're out of the way when you're gone? Or do you want people to really appreciate you, to appreciate your ideas, even if they may not agree with what you've said? Maybe they don't necessarily approve of some of your actions, but they still appreciate you as a person. If you appreciate somebody who has different ideas or different views, it doesn't mean that you have to accept their ideas. It doesn't mean you have to approve of them. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them. But it's important for you to listen to them. It's important for you to understand them and understand where they're coming from. Because when you understand where they're coming from, that helps you to appreciate how they got to where they are. In Genesis 1, verses 26 and 27, we are told that we are all created in the image of God. All of us are, no matter who we are. And if that's true, then maybe rather than tolerate one another, we should appreciate one another. And when we appreciate others, it shows that we value them. And if God values us, then doesn't it make sense that we value one another? My encouragement to you is, don't just tolerate each other. Don't just tolerate people that are different from you, but appreciate them, value them, and realize that they too have been created in the image of God, even if they don't look like you or they don't always think the same way that you do. And maybe that will help us to have good discussions with people, that we'll be able to share really what Jesus wants us to share with people. And that can create healing in the lives of others. I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope you have a great day.